Three, two, one. Cameras, lights, action.
All right, we are live. I am here with Brandon. Brandon, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for being back in Bali.
Yeah, most welcome, man. I think a good place to start, as always, would be what are you doing here? What's brought you up to this point in time?
Bali specifically?
Bali specifically,
Yeah.
or wherever you want to go with it, mate.
Yeah, so before Bali, I was living in Barcelona, in Spain, where I had my own party events company with some business partners of mine. And after 6 years of being in that nightlife industry, the nightlife business, it sort of catches up to you. You know, the partying all night and just like it was fun. It was good. I had good memories. I made good friends and stuff. But after a while, I was like, right, had my own business doing it. Financially, it was good. My business partner and I are really good friends as well, and it was really, really amazing time when we were there. But I just wasn't happy being in the nightlife industry. People coming, going all the time, having to go out in the night, in the clubs, in the bars, being around that environment was just, after a while, you get sick of it. So I was like, okay, I need something else. Like, I need to move. I need to be in a place where it's more calm, relaxed, but there's still like entrepreneurs here. There's still expats there. There's still places like that. I need a place where it's warm. It's like, what all of these things? How can I put these things together? So I thought of Bali, moved out here with a good friend of mine, and moved here and started. When I got here, I was like, okay, well, I'm still with the business. It's still technically mine, but I need another way to sort of get myself by financially. And am I going to invest? Am I going to start drop shipping? Am I going to be a coach? So what am I going to do? You know what I mean? So looked into the markets, like the financial markets and stuff. Started looking at gold. So now I'm pretty much like a full-time like gold trader, like buying and selling gold in like the financial markets. And at the start it was very, very hard, very, very rough. Lost so much money. Was almost to the point where I was like, wow, okay, am I gonna be here anymore because they're losing the money? But finally got over that. Started making more and more and more. And when I first got here, just locked myself in my room for like 3 months straight. Just, I'm not going to go do anything, see anything. I will not leave this room until I've made $1. Like, I will not leave this room until I've figured out how I'm going to, make money to live here and to be here. Because I'm not going back to the UK. I'm not going to get a job. I'm not going to go back to my business. I'm not going to do any of this stuff. I'm here right now. How will I going to make it? How will I get past that, that stint of being here? Like, I want to be here. I want to live here. I want to make a life here. I don't want to leave here anytime soon. So that's what I'm doing right now. Just to get me by like financially, and it's doing very well now, to be honest with you. And I'm on the side, and my passion and my hobbies, I'm making films, like small documentaries, short films. It's what I've wanted to do since I could remember, very, very young, at home watching TV, watching these people go to all these cool places and see these things and discover these things. Like, that's what I want to do. I've always had the time and the money. Then I had the business, had the money and no time, and I have like a good balance of both. So now I'm investing my time and money into my passion, which is making films, creating stories, seeing new things and how different people see perspectives of life. Like, all the films I've done so far is completely different to my lifestyle. You know what I mean? So that's something that really interests me. So now I'm just living in Bali, doing these films, starting in Bali, starting slowly, and then going to expand out to different parts of Indonesia. And then, because making film was expensive, making a film, like flying people out, having an editor, paying the people you actually work with, the filmer, spending the days, it can cost thousands, you know what I mean? So my dream is to go all over the world, but my first film I was going to do in Senegal and like film like these like wrestlers and how they live. But that would have cost me around like £8,000 to £10,000. So, I'll start small, start in Bali, start over how I can just not spend all my money on films, and then eventually expand out to different parts of the world when the money's picking up and I'm getting used to the filming and I'm creating different stories, stuff like this. So yeah, that's pretty much what brought me here and what I'm doing right now. So
Yeah,
it's a lot. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's brilliant. There's so many different areas in which we can expand upon. I think a good place to start would be the first bit as well. You were in Barcelona.
Yeah.
I think living more so of like a party lifestyle, right?
Yeah.
Because that's what your
Yeah.
work was involved in. And I feel like we grow up past the teenage years, early 20s, and yeah, it's a fun period of your life. Often we go out partying and chasing this pleasure. If you
High
like.
almost, yeah.
Yeah, well, that's it. And from what I've observed, I think some people actually never really break out of that. They just keep going well into their sort of, yeah, late 20s, 30s,
Yeah,
and beyond. I wonder what made you sort of have that
switch.
switch and change, because a lot of people don't necessarily have that.
I just thought like if I was in this industry, this nightlife industry, this business, where does it stop? Sort of thing. Is it gonna okay? I'm gonna. We started a company. We expanded to then the boat party and the pool party. There was like it's all like it's what I know. It's what I'm good at. That's the thing. It's like 4 years prior, I was traveling to different parts of the world, and you know mainly working in party event companies, right? So, and then I was like now 6 years of it, and it's like okay, and it's what I'm really good at. It's what I know. I know how to make a very good finances off of this, but I want something more. It's not really fulfilling me as a person. It's not really fulfilling my passion. It's just sort of it's very it became very base for me. Like that's it. It was like 'cause there was no like growth in it for me. I couldn't see myself growing. But like all props to what I went through, all props to my business partner. Like it taught me so much about life, about finances, about business, about we went to Barcelona from nothing, knowing no one, not having much, to then just like being like looking at each other like we will make this no matter what. We have to be number one here, and we have to grow, and we have to be this, and then having that mindset of like okay, we're gonna have to make it no matter what. Like this is it. Like this is we see ourselves being a number one, and we got there. We became number one in the end. But yeah, just being that for so long, and then having that. Yeah, you go out of it. You know, I was forced to do it. I don't want to say forced to do it, but I had to be out. I had to go to the club. I had to speak to my staff. I had to chase a beer with my staff. Take a shot with the manager of the club. It's like I don't want to do this anymore. I just didn't want to do it. I wasn't happy in that space. And then after a few months of that, I was like, hold on, the money will get better as well. Like, and you get more of this, what you want, and you have more time off. But it's always a chase. It's always the high. And then just being in the club was just like, okay, I'm done now. I can't be doing this. It wasn't like a massive switch. It was like over time. I was like, held on, and then I was like, okay, I don't like drinking anymore. Don't like going to the club. All these things. Then I left and haven't had a sip of alcohol since. I've been out since the club and bars. But everyone who knows me, all my friends, just like I'll go to the club for 5 minutes or 10 minutes and be like, I actually hate being here. Like I'm out. Like I won't say goodbye. I'll go here. Everyone's texting me, where you at? It's like I'm sorry. I could hang out. I could have dinner with you guys and hang out. But being in that environment is like then it takes me back to like me hating it and having to force to do it. So just switched out of it, and then now it's completely different lifestyle. Yeah, very different lifestyle.
That's really interesting. It's almost as if you had like excess amount of
Mm.
farting, so you kind of just naturally just got
Yeah.
tired of it and grew out of it. I wonder why people just still do it. Do you think it's because they're chasing a sense of community they don't get elsewhere? Is it because they're trying to sort of numb something? And was that sort of your case before, or was it strictly just like, you know what, I'm just having fun?
What I liked about it, and what I liked about my business, and what I liked about beforehand was being in the hostels and being that party rep and party events. It's like it is a nice, it's a community that will always end up not being a community anymore. That makes sense. Like it's the thing about having the group to go out with, having fun with people. The reason why people keep doing it, I think there's nothing wrong, 100% wrong with it. I don't think if you want to keep doing that, and like, but it's a balance, right? When alcohol becomes a problem or going out becomes an issue. I think what I found hard was the transaction between having that and having like the only fun when I was going out and having that community to now having communities elsewhere. It's very easy to go to a bar and find people and get drunk and go out with. That's the easy part. I think it is harder nowadays is to find a community where you don't do that. Finding a community that you train with. If you're big in training, I know you're big in training, right? Having that community where you're doing that. Like for you and I to go out right now, meet people to party with, that's so easy to do. You know what I mean? And people find it hard to reach out like, oh, let's instead of let's get a beer, let's get a coffee instead. I think people find that I find it hard to do that. It's like now I'm here. How do I actually make friends? Like how do I actually do I join a run club? Do I join a community? Do I go out? Do I connect with people? Unfortunately, what I do is very it's like my individual. Like it's trading is very by myself. My film was like sort of by myself. So trying to find, I think people seek like, yeah, the community aspect of wanting to be connected to people, surrounded with people. I think people do that, and it's easy to do it in a club, in a bar. I think it's harder to do in a day-to-day environment.
Yeah, but then again, I think that belief that it's a harder thing to do, I think that's a belief, but I don't think that's necessarily true,
Yeah.
right?
Okay. Yeah, makes sense.
And I think for me, I was sort of on a similar journey as well. I think for me, it was jiu-jitsu. I didn't,
Because you're sober now for a long time, right? You've been.
yeah,
That's what I
since,
believe I've seen.
I'm trying to think when I stopped, maybe it was, yeah, August 2023, I think. And yeah, it's been interesting sort of since then, sort of my relationship with alcohol, my perceptions of it, because occasionally I think when you do stop, you'll, at sometimes rarely you'll get this like, oh, like what would that be like? Just
Yeah,
to,
what's like again? Yeah.
yeah, like, oh, okay, maybe I would want to relax and, you know, switch off for a bit. But then I'm like, well, actually, like,
Come this far. What's the point? It's.
it's not even that. Mate. It's just like you just know when you see beyond the illusion, you're just not that interested anymore. And you know, once you sort of go out of that like automatic point of view, and I remember once my girlfriend and I went to Finn's Beach Club, and you know, they were handing out these free shots, and they put them in front of us. And I remember smelling it and being like, what?
Yeah, the Friends Beach Club free shots.
It's yeah, I was just like, it just doesn't appeal to me anymore.
Yeah.
And I do think, coming back to your point earlier, I think there is that sense of community outside. And for me, I found that in jiu-jitsu and all this positive stuff. And if, for example, drinking, okay, some people might enjoy it or think they enjoy it, but if it's a problem point for you, I think a lot of the time we focus on the thing itself. Oh, I can't have a beer, or I can't have a cigarette, or whatever it may be. I actually think rather than focusing on that, I think just focus on building a healthier lifestyle and finding new hobbies.
Outside, yeah.
Because naturally, the other stuff's not going to be a focal point anymore. You're not going to be considering it because all you're looking at is right. How do I become healthier? How do I better myself? And that's why I go into jiu-jitsu. Okay, right, when does sessions start? 9 a.m. on a Saturday morning. Am I going to go out Friday night? No.
Yeah.
It's a mindset shift, right? Because you're like, what would I actually rather be doing? Would I rather go out just getting really pissed and then feeling like shit the next day? Or would I rather get a nice, cozy early night, which is like the best thing ever, I think. And then just having, or you know, maybe you'll stay up a bit later and read a book. Being super naughty. I love that. Mate. I really do. And
it changes for sure. Yeah.
yeah, and I just think if going out, if that's your thing, right, and hey, you might enjoy it, and I think in moderation, whatever, do whatever you like.
Yeah.
But I do think if you're getting your sense of community just from that, I think it would be helpful to just step outside of that box a bit and think, right, okay, because all you see is all there is, right? And if that's your whole idea of, if that's all you've known is going to the pub, going on a night out, and the quality of your friendships is all you know, then you're not going to think there's better alternatives out there. And this is something I'm passionate about as well, because I feel like everyone's people are out there, and I'm talking like genuine. When you get through all the layers of the ego, and you get towards someone's soul, I think you can connect with people from that level, and there are people who will appreciate you for who you actually are. And I just question with alcohol, if you're sort of numbing yourself and trying to fit in, and you're liking people more because of it, then
Is it
like,
really?
I wonder how fruitful those sort of friendships are really. I remember going on sober nights out in London, and I bump into people and they'd say, "What, Harrison? You're not drinking?" Oh, and then they'd say to my friend, "Well, you're not drinking either." Oh, yeah. What are you on something else? It's like, what? No, mate. And it's just so bad. I can drive to the night out.
Yeah.
I can drive back. I don't have to pay 50 quid for an Uber or whatever. Yeah, but that's just me. And yeah, I wonder, in your case, obviously, it seems that you've always had that sort of business mindset, right?
Yeah.
Have you always had that? And what has that shift been like for you? Has that always come? Because I think when we start off as a teenager, we don't really take life too seriously, and then we go into a teen. How has that process been for you? How has that sort of manifested into the things that you've been doing?
Like, you mean from like not business mindset to business mindset? You mean what's the change?
Yeah, I think the change from, or just that instinct to just try something
Yeah.
and, okay, it might fail, it might not, because I think a lot of people are reluctant to take that step. So, how have you taken that step in the past, and was there self-doubt, resistance there? Because from what you said, it seems like it was like, okay, fuck it, we're going to do this
Yeah,
anyway.
100%. In beforehand, before the business, I wasn't business mindset whatsoever. I think, people say like, oh, you're born with this. Like, I think you can create it as well. Beforehand, I was like, no, I'm gonna go through life. I'm gonna have a job. I'm gonna work. I'm gonna do what I like to do. And then this opportunity came to me. It's like, well, if this opportunity came to me, I can have my own business, my own time. Well, if you have your own business, you don't really have your own time anyway. But like, financially, it's gonna get better for me and stuff like this. And the opportunity came to me at the start. I was like, no, I don't really want to have a business. Feels like a lot of stress, a lot of pressure, which it is for sure. But then after a while, I was like, well, I'm not at that moment doing anything else really with my life. I'm just not sad, I'm not happy, I'm just getting by, I'm having fun, I'm doing what I need to do. And then as soon as I started the business, it was like, well, we're here with nothing, we need to grow this, else, we need to get from 0 to 100. And it just, having my business partner there and having like a team around me definitely helped. When you do things individually, it's very easy to like fail and be like, oh, like I failed, like, you maybe give up, etc. But it's good to have someone with you to, on your bad days, they bring you up, and on their bad days, they bring you up as well. And I think like as a lot of people we know for sure, as like entrepreneurs and stuff like this, is just solo mission. And I think it does get hard and does get lonely in a sense. But so I'm very glad I had someone there with me to help me. And as soon as I saw, this is what I say to people, it wasn't even about like going from nothing to then like 10xing our profit. It wasn't even about that. It was about all the hard work we did in those months leading up to it, and then seeing numbers are good because they see your progress in a sense, and seeing that it's like, wow, we went from this to this. That's impressive. That's what. And then as soon as I sort of got a taste of like, wow, I really put my mind to it, and I fail, and people say no to me 99 times out of 100 in that one time, and then just feeding off of that and like going, getting nowhere, and finally starting to get somewhere, and having that like progression up and up and up. That shifted my whole mindset completely. As soon as I left Barcelona and I came to here, and ever since then it's been like, wow, anything's impossible if you really put your mind to it and you really put your work into it. And the whole gold thing, when I came here, I lost so much. I failed. I was on the edge of like I was never going to give up, but I was on the edge of like, wow, this is not going well for me whatsoever. And then I'm like, hold up, no. If someone's done it before me, first of all, I can do it, and secondly, it's impossible for me to fail if I never give up, right? If it takes a month, if it takes a year, if it takes 2 years, and yeah, like to answer your question, I never had that mindset before. But when you see something happen, when you see the impossible sort of thing happen, and like, wow, okay, for the rest of my life, I know whatever I want now, with the amount of hard work I'll put into it, I can have. So
I love that.
yeah.
And I think there's two different parts of that. One is the slight edge, right? The compound effect, like all this stuff, it's just so rewarding when you just keep going through the tough
Yeah.
times. And I had my mate Rowdy on the show as well, and he was saying he's obsessed with the bad times
Yeah.
because
Oh, it's good. It's great.
it's a great.
If it's not hard, I don't want to do it.
It's just down in the trenches, and this is the thing. This is the key thing. I think a lot of people were brought up thinking, "Oh, discomfort's bad," and all this. No, we can't feel that way, or no, we've got to be feeling happy all the time. I think it's a load of bollocks, mate. I think we've come down here on this earth to experience the full depths of life. We have this opportunity to feel all of the emotions. So why are we avoiding that? If something's difficult or sad, is really embrace that.
Yeah.
I feel like we try and run away from it through whether it's cigarettes, alcohol, even porn as well, Netflix, whatever it may be. But just feel, and we won't have this opportunity. Like once we're dead, that's it. We won't be able to feel the depths of these emotions so far. And I really think that's a big one. And I love what you said there. You know, good things sort of take time. And you know, if they gave
Patience,
you that,
man. Patience is massive.
well, that's it. And if they gave you that business straight away, you probably wouldn't even know what to do with it. It's like, where's the rewards in that, right? And I think that's a big mindset as well, instant gratification or delayed. And I think that is a really important mindset shift. And I wonder as well, when you were talking about the self-doubt, your mentality was, wow, look what all these other people have done. And
Yeah, I've always thought that like if no one's a superhero, right? If someone's done it before you, that means you can do it 100%. And even if someone hasn't, it's going to be harder. The path's not going to be as clear. But that means if the path's not as clear, then it's going to be even better. You're going to be the only one doing it. So I think when you see that, when you see if your goals are financial or your goals are fitness or your goals are whatever they may be, it's like, okay, if someone's done it before me and someone has that, if I put the work, can I do the things that I need to do, have a plan and see my vision of where I'm going to go, you can do it as well. There's no doubt in it. There's no doubt in my mind that all the beforehand there was for sure, and still some doubt creeps in. But for now, I know exactly if someone's done it before me, I can do it. And from all the struggles we went through with the business of being rejected, people saying they don't want to work with us, they'll never work with us, to a few months later being like, actually, I don't want to work with you now. Hey, what's your name? Oh, okay, now you want to, and just having that shift was amazing. So.
And I also think we have to be delusional in some
Oh yeah,
instances.
yeah.
You absolutely have to be. All the guys who have made great change throughout history, at one point they've been delusional, right? You think about people who have thought for sort of equal rights, especially between like black and white people. Martin Luther King, I've used that example before. At the time, his idea of what the world could look like, that was just unfathomable.
Yeah.
It's like, what? Treat white and black people equally, like get out of here. But I think because his belief was so strong that eventually he influenced his external reality and he changed that. And this is a really crucial point. It's like no matter how delusional you are, if you just stick really, really firm in that belief and you start acting as if it's already happened, you are going to create your own external reality.
Yeah.
And I really, really believe that. Like this is why manifestation is a real thing if you do it properly. And there are tools in which you can do that. But you've got to be just no doubt coming. You know, you don't even let it in.
No.
Just you're just like you act as if it's already
Yeah.
happened.
You got to see yourself being there in a sense, like this is where I'm going to go, no matter what, no matter what anyone else says. Now, that's the easy part. The hard part then is the steps to get there. Yeah, like be delusional is the best thing you could have said. I like that a lot. Yeah.
Absolutely. And look, I think there's obviously a balance. I like to say, delusionally happy in the past. If we're talking about a different side of being delusional. For example, I think there's a very big difference between having a big ego and being truly filled with joy. I think for a long time I was delusionally happy. I thought I was happy, but the reality was that my ego was being stroked. So I was getting the validation I wanted from people, from women. I also, was happy with the way I looked, and I think that was delusional. I think because since that moment, I've had quite a few ego deaths and have sort of reassessed where I'm at and realised that, okay, perhaps my upbringing wasn't as normal as I thought it was. And I think that's a very important point to make as well. And it also ties in with your point before. So we should always be seeking to better ourselves, and it always comes down to growth. And I love how you mentioned before, you were kind of done with that lifestyle because you just weren't growing anymore. You had grown.
On purpose, yeah.
You were saying how grateful you were for the experience. You'd learned so
Super,
much.
yeah. Like that's the most I've grown ever in those 2 years. Yeah.
Well, that's wonderful. And, they came upon me like, okay, you know what? I've learned everything I have from that and I'm done now. And I think you can take the same in personal development as well.
Yeah.
And you just keep on going, keep on looking for the next thing. And it comes back to our discussion about avoiding the hard shit. It's like, no, this is a fantastic opportunity for us to grow. Because then, okay, cool, now what can I do better next time? And you need to have that growth mindset. Whereas, unfortunately, and I'm speaking from personal experience here, a lot of people adopt the victim mindset, a fixed mindset. Shit, why is life happening to me? And the reality is, like, life happens for us, not to us. And if every setback we have, we think, right, what is this teaching me? And how can I grow from this? And again, I like to bring in spirituality a lot. I think a lot of the time people think spirituality is just something woo-woo or something we experience after life. But the reality is it happens right now. And having the mindset of, okay, what is the universe sort of teaching me in this situation? What's it trying to show me? Because the reality is it's going to keep on teaching you the same lessons until you learn, right? If you keep on going out getting pissed all the time, and you end up with a shitty hangover and you feel awful, then you're going to keep on getting that same feeling over and over and over again. In my instance, I kept on making the same mistakes in my interactions with women, right? And for a long time, I adopted this victim mindset. It's their fault. Why are they doing this to me? And then after a while, I reflected and I said, hang on, there's a pattern here. Something's going on. And it kept on repeating the same pattern. And I always kept on feeling the sense of rejection and confusion. And then I looked at myself, I thought, hang on a sec. I've been allowing all this stuff to happen because I haven't put my boundaries in place. I've been a people pleaser. I've always thought that I should be the nice guy who doesn't say anything.
Yeah.
And this is my point, is that if you stay in that victim mindset, you're going to stay thinking, oh, the whole world's out there to get me. I'm never going to find a woman. And then guess what? Your mind's going to keep on repeating that story.
And that will happen, yeah.
And it will happen, right? Whereas you must take responsibility in all aspects of life. If something's happened to you, think, okay, cool, I don't care what they've done, but it's completely irrelevant. If you give the power to them, you're essentially saying, right, only they can change me because they caused it. Well, they're not going to fucking change it. Only you're going to do that. Yeah. And I think that's really important. And I think you've had, from the sounds of it, you always had that mentality. Did you have a really sort of supportive upbringing? Because by the sounds of it, it sounds like you've had quite a strong mindset from the off. Obviously, we all get self-doubts, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I grew up with my mum and my sister in my household. My father passed away when I was 1, and she's been like in a woman's household. Yeah, I mean, I think there was no really good or really bad points for growing up whatsoever. It was just a standard English household. That question, there's not really much to it. There was no thing that negatively or positively affected me. I was raised by a great woman. She told me everything I need to know. Very strong woman, obviously because of what happened, and we lived in a caravan for like a few years because we had no money because that happened, and we had to leave London, and so I was born in London originally. I feel that's why I asked at the start. And for one, then father passed and we moved. We lived in the caravan, and then eventually got some more money. We actually got a house and all these things. So yeah, very strong woman, really strong. Like anything that happens, she's like, okay, there's an issue. Okay, cool. What's the solution? What can we do? How can we move past this? Blah, blah, blah. If I said to her when I was younger, I remember being like, oh, I want to do this, or that's happening. She's like, okay, how do we do that? How do we get past this? How do we move on? There's an issue. It will be solved. Done. Next day it's done. You know how mums are like, I can't find this. Next second, she's found it. You know what I mean? So it's, yeah, I think, yeah. So yeah, going back to it, it was a good experience. It was a very good. My mum is a very strong woman, and 90% of the things I do or go and work towards now are for her. Everything, like financially, for even my goal was, like, oh, so look what I've done. It's like, you told me I could do this, now I'm doing it. And yeah, I think because of that, the upbringing I had for her, a lot of things I do right now, or most of the things I do right now, are for like my family, and that's what I want to do. And just a day where I'm just, that she can literally do what she wants with her life, and my family can do what they want, and my future family as well. Like a lot of the things that I do are not for me. I always think like, okay, I'm the man here. I need to be able to make something for, and whenever I'm going through these things and hard times, and thinking like, okay, I don't think you should always think it's for you. You should think it's for other people as well. Like I have responsibility. You know what I mean? Things I need to do, and money I need to get for other people. I never think like, okay, for me, having nice things is nice, and doing what I want is nice, but it's like seeing the smiles on my future wife's face, or my mum's face, or my friend when I can do things for them and pay things for them, that brings me the most joy. The other day I bought a bike for myself, like a motorbike, and it's like, didn't really care so much about it. It was cool, it was nice, but broke down every 5 seconds. I spent double just to fix it, and it was rough. It's like, it's a waste of money. I shouldn't have even done that. I can't even drive fast around Canggu anyway, so what's the point of having it? I will get a nicer one in the future, but for now it's like, okay, well, whatever. And yeah, so yeah, you back to your point. It's really inspired me. My mother inspires me a lot to do what I do. Whenever I think of like, I never think of giving up, but whenever those low moments come, it's like, okay, who am I doing it for? What am I doing it for? My future self, my future family, my family that I have now, my friends that I have now, and yeah, that's what's put me in that mindset for sure.
Yeah, mate, so much to digest there.
Mm.
What an incredible woman
Yeah.
your mum sounds like,
Oh
first
yeah,
of
she's the
all.
best. She's my angel. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I think because from what I've heard as well, I think a lot of guys are who grow up in sort of single parent households, I
Mm.
think they do end up sort of struggling later on in
Yeah.
life
Well,
because
yeah.
of there's that
A gap there
there
almost.
is
Yeah.
of course 100%, and
Mm.
I think a father figure is so important. They
Yeah.
break that bond, the monogamous bond with the mother. They show you how to act, how not to act. They're kind of like a role model, right?
Mhm.
And yeah, I mean, there's so much to unpack there, and yeah, I wonder in your case, was it sort of a big theme at the time? Like, obviously, not having a father in your life, have you sort of moved past that, and how's that sort of journey been for you?
Yeah, it's definitely. I think when you're younger, you don't really understand and realize these things. But when you grow older, it's like, okay, actually, what a father being around, what would that have done? How would that affected me in changing me? I think for definitely a long period of my life, a few years of my life when I was starting a teenager, I was like, what do I do as a man? Like, how do I get by? How do I do things? I have no father to tell me what to do. I mean, mum did an amazing job, but it's like, okay, I had no sort of father figure at all in my life. So I was like, okay, and then what do I do as a man? Do I get a job? Do I provide for a family? But I don't really have a family to provide for anyway. So I was just dossing around, traveling, having fun. Now I'm starting to realize, okay, what is my role in society? What is my role as who I need to do and who I need to become? Definitely affected me. I think people with fathers, obviously, it's a bit easier because they can like, have like someone to look to. Okay, I need to be like that guy. Like a lot of people say, their dad is their superhero. That's what I hear a lot. Like the superhero that they need to. That's a man I need to become. I never had that, so I never had know how to do this. But I had to figure it out myself, pretty much. Yeah.
Well, that's interesting because, again, I think it's your tendency will always be, as humans will be like, okay, what could I have had there?
Hmm.
That said, I think often people have fathers who aren't very good role models, right?
And
And
they messed them up completely. Yeah.
absolutely. So
Mm.
you can look at that two ways.
Yeah.
Would you rather have, an incredibly strong mother and no father, or sort of a father who was not such a good role model?
Hmm.
I don't think there's a right wrong answer to that,
No.
but it's
Yeah.
an
Yeah.
interesting question, right? And I wonder in your case as well if it kind of also, even if you didn't realize at the time, maybe it did force you to sort of grow up a bit quicker. Do you have like siblings as well?
Yeah. So I have actually five half sisters and two half brothers. So I have
Wow.
seven siblings in total. But one sister who I grew up with, who was like they're very close to my age, and they were halves because like when my mother is older now, when she was having me, she couldn't have me, so she had to have like IVF. So it's all like different mothers, different fathers. That's why they're all halves. But I might have some siblings that are a lot older than me, and some that are younger in like a different family. But it's my own like my sister that grew up with me my whole life was one, which was next to me. But yeah, seven in total. Yeah, yeah. So a
Yeah.
big weird family. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I wonder because you kind of become like the
Mm.
man of the house, really.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, my mum is still the man of the house. My mum is still that she's where she says
she's the man
goes.
of the house
Yeah,
as
where
well.
she says
Okay,
goes. Yeah.
okay, got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's wicked, and
Mm.
yeah, it's fun having lots of siblings as well.
Yeah, it's nice.
I've got five fantastic
They're
sisters.
all in Australia now, or
Yeah, so
wow.
I've got two in Australia,
Mm.
and then three in the UK,
Yeah.
and yeah, they're always. I think it's interesting. I think a lot of us have sort of gone on to sort of do our own thing, and I
You're
think
close. You're close to them still, though. They're still there.
absolutely,
Yeah. So
yeah,
similar ages, or
whole mix,
because
mate.
you're how old are you now?
So I'm 25,
35. Yeah. Okay.
25, and yeah, I'm like bang in the middle, really.
Mm.
So I've got two younger, I've got three older, two of them are half sisters.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think growing up with sisters as well, I think it's an advantage in quite a few
So
ways.
much. Yeah.
I remember when I would talk with women, they would say we can notice the guys who have had siblings
Mm.
or had sisters and
Yeah.
who haven't. And I think you again, generalization here. Obviously, it doesn't apply to everyone, but yeah, you tend to sort of understand women a bit more, understand
For sure. Yeah.
their sort of emotions, and I think perhaps have more respect, I think, at least in the earlier stages. It's yeah, it's a super interesting one, and I think it's really cool to see, right, how has our upbringing influenced us today? How has
Yeah.
it
'Cause it
shaped
does
our
massively. Yeah. Yeah.
100%, whether you're the only child, fourth child, like all this, there's this always like, it's funny, my youngest sister, I feel like she's the one who's like, yeah, obviously had it the easiest, I think, being the
Yeah.
youngest, yeah.
Because the whole family's gone through all the kids, and now it's like the younger. Okay, they know how to deal with everything, and now it's a bit easier on her. She has because she has now right all the older siblings to like rely on, or like she's going through something. You guys can help her, right? So
All
yeah,
the life
yeah,
experience,
yeah.
yeah, I love that. And in terms of sort of friendships as well, how's that process been like for you? Obviously, yeah, we talked about sort of going to different communities and finding that. How has that process been for you now? Because it's interesting, we were discussing this the other day, and I think a lot of, because I used to be sort of a quote unquote nice guy, right? And that's what I'm specializing in now, helping nice guys
Yep.
realize their full potential. And I find that a common problem is that there's this distrust of men when we grow up. We kind of think, and I think a lot of it can stem from, yeah, either the relationship with the father and how we perceive that. I wonder, in your case, has your upbringing maybe made it easier to find friends, less easier, no difference? And well, what's that process been like for you in terms of like finding meaningful connections?
I think a very extroverted person as well. So I think finding friends for me is pretty easy, pretty simple. The issue I had only when I came here, and the issues that I'm still not having now, but beforehand. So yeah, when I came to Bali, I was like, okay, I need to be able to make this make these projects work, right? So I was locked in my room, grinding, doing my thing, non-stop, go, 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 go. And then I was like, after a while, I figured like, hold up, actually, I don't really know anyone here on the island. I'm here to have fun, meet all these like other people in the same mindset I have, and like meet and then the first time I did go out, I met my videographer. The first time I did sort of stay out from my room, literally he would live right next to me. Like I met him there, and that's like, okay, I need to relax. The money's gonna come. That my goals are gonna come. Not gonna come tomorrow. I'm not gonna be a millionaire tomorrow. I'm not gonna have a six pack tomorrow. I'm not gonna achieve all my goals in one day. It's okay to have time off, and it's okay to you need to go out and be with other people and find your friends and find your community and find people who you need to connect with, because that's I think one of the most beautiful things I think in life, and I say this all the time to people. It's very important is to have someone, and someone has you to rely on. Having that person who, when things go wrong, you can be like, hey, bro, like, shit's going down, I need help, and vice versa. That's great. I think you can be so strong mentally and keep going, 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 going. But if you crack sometimes, if something happens in your life, or someone passes away, or financially something happened, or whatever, like, and then if you all by yourself, like, what's the point of having all this money and all this fame if one, you can't share with someone, and two, if things go wrong, no one's going to be there for you. That's a horrible feeling. So having someone there, yeah, with you and by your side, I think is one of the most beautiful things. So I really cherish friendships and brotherhood and all these things as well. So
That's a really super important point, and that was my biggest lesson or one of the biggest lessons was I always felt like I needed to ground myself. I was like, right, I've become this strong man.
yeah,
I don't need anyone else to
lone
help me.
wolf, like head down,
Well, that's
doesn't
it.
work.
And the
Yeah,
reality is, like, there's all this sort of tribal stuff when we were evolving, and I think absolutely, if you can add to your support network, don't be scared of asking for help. Chances are people want to help people.
yeah,
I think there's this innate want, whether people admit it or not, they want to help people. They want to be doing good in the world,
yeah,
and that's a really important point. And I learned that I could rely on other people to ground me, and that's whether it's my girlfriend, whether it's my
yeah,
friends, and whereas before I was just like, no, it must be me, and you realize a lot of people actually do want to help you, and that's in all aspects of life. I think people just want to be, they want to be able to help, and I think that's a really important point. I also wonder going forward as well, because I always had the mentality of, okay, do we really need friends because I was looking at my life and I was like, I'm just happy because I've been staying in Kyneton, Victoria, right? It's this very small town. We were debating before whether it's a town or a village and what the difference was,
Yeah.
but it's a town, like suburb, and I've been really enjoying like the downtime, just being surrounded by nature and not around people. And me and my girlfriend were discussing it. It's like, oh, do we actually like need to be around other people? And then I've realised quite soon, actually, we do. And I was speaking with one of my clients about this because I realised that I actually do get a lot of people interaction through the work that I do
Yep, of
and
course.
through the sports that I do. And
Yep.
you don't even think about it because in your mind, it's like, okay, socialising is, okay, you go out for a coffee or you go out for a drink. But actually, it's all in the little moments in the community that we
Yeah.
don't really consider. And that's something I've noticed is actually you kind of do need these people in your life because especially if you're in a relationship, if you're expecting your partner to be all of these different things, that is a
Pressure on them.
huge
Yeah.
pressure on them, and it's just that doesn't seem like a healthy balance. So, yeah, my perspective has definitely shifted. I do think we need people in our lives, right?
100%. Like I read a book. I can't remember what it was called. Like years and years ago, and it always stuck into my head. It was basically saying like a lot of the issues people are having today and why they're having them, etc. There's lots of books like that, but I read this and it really resonated with me. It was like, and the whole theme was like basically saying how when we were cavemen or when we were thousands of years ago, we're social creatures, we're social animals. We had tribes, we had people, and as soon as something happened where you were strayed away from the tribe, or you were injured, or you were in a different tribe, you didn't know who they were, we were stressed, we were sad, we were angry, we were all these emotions that we don't like to feel. But when you're back to that tribe, and all these things don't come up because you're around the people who take care of you. You know what I mean? So basically saying how like yeah, we're very social creatures and we need that tribal mentality. And what you were saying, I think, was it's nice to get away. It's nice to be like, oh, I'm away in the nature. I'm like this. I'm by myself. Do I need people? But then maybe you're only thinking like this because you know in the back of your mind, if you want to speak to someone, you can. If you want to go back to your tribe, you can. If you want to go back to Bali and have all your friends that are there, you'll see them. But if you don't have any of this, you'll be wanting it, I think. Yeah.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
That's a great point. And it comes to us you take things for granted a lot. And I think gratitude is like such an important part, at least in my practice, just
Yeah.
right, 3 things you're grateful for every day and really take everything around you in. That's super important. I wonder if that has shifted your perspective as well on life, because I think a lot of the time, a lot of problems arise from trying to control an external outcome, and
Yeah.
people are so always looking forwards. And I'm even guilty of it. Like I held a workshop the other day for nice guys and helping them reach their full potential, and it was such a fun event. It was really good fun. We were talking to each other, like just having all these interesting discussions. And then at the end, I think when the high was wearing off, I'm like, okay, cool. Like, okay, what can I do with this? And what should we do for the next workshop? And then I actually just had this feeling in my body, and I was like, okay, wait, hang on a sec. Let's just. And I couldn't really understand what was going on in my body. I was like, what is this feeling? And I was like, I was trying to understand it, but I think there's a beauty in just right, slowing down, just let's observe what's going on. Let's actually just be grateful. Let's like really experience this moment and this feeling.
Yeah.
Because I get that same feeling like when I've competed in jiu-jitsu, for example, like a sense of, oh, like it's this high.
Yeah.
But then I also find that I kind of want more as well. It's a really weird one. Like when you have that feeling of, oh, I've done something really good, you almost want like more. It's like a drug, you kind of want more of it.
Where do you think that comes from, though? Like, I know exactly what you're saying, but where does that come from? Because, like when I think of things, I want to take it back to, like, okay, our human instinct, right? Where do you think that feeling comes from?
Oh, mate, I think you can go quite deep.
Yeah, yeah.
I think you can go really deep because I feel the same on Christmas Day, actually. I've noticed at the end of Christmas
It's a
Day.
very, yeah, okay, go on.
Well, no, I'm
Yeah.
kind of holding on to it a bit. I think I've been on such a high from the day. Like this last Christmas, I was there there were like 3 couples, and I think and it was really really lovely. And I kind of like you're almost like, oh, that was such a high, and you almost like want to keep on going.
Yeah.
I think there's quite a few different reasons because you say you have it as well, right?
Yeah, I think, yeah, for sure, yeah.
I think because maybe it's just pleasure, and that's
And you want to keep that, the dopamine, chasing dopamine, maybe?
well,
Or,
that's it. Maybe I mean, Yeah, it'd be interesting to look at all the sort of science behind this, but I wonder if it's the same sort of dopamine fix as a that a drug can give you.
Yeah.
I think, and I think it's very important because it's weird. It's really interesting because it's a strange feeling. It's almost like a bit of an anxious feeling. And by
Yeah.
the way, I don't think that's a bad feeling to have at all.
No.
But we
Human.
perceive
Yeah.
it as bad. And I did a great episode with a surf recently where we talked about relationship with anxiety. But I do wonder if, yeah, we sometimes sort of neglect that side of ourselves, and we also just, I think it could be a pleasure feeling because, you know, if you're used to the party lifestyle, right, you get high and you just keep on wanting
Yeah.
more. Same with alcohol. What happens is
Yeah.
when you have a pint, it increases your dopamine and then it goes down, and then you kind of need more to experience the
Yeah.
same feeling. And it's the same with everything. And I wonder, with this sense of achievement we get, it leaves you hungry for more, and that's really interesting. So I think it could, because I get the same feeling. It's like if I sort of had that, you know, pint for example, and then you go down, it's like, okay, you kind of want more.
Yeah.
And I wonder if it's the same with this external success as well. I was also telling this to one of my clients the other day. I think we tend to judge our emotions, like, oh, I felt good during this, I felt bad during this, and I didn't feel as excited during this. I think we try and attach too much meaning to them. I think we just need to observe them for what they are and stop trying to feel a certain way.
You be in the present moment with the feelings you're having, yeah, and
Yeah,
not try and.
instead of judging
Yeah.
it, you know, you wouldn't judge, you know, this cup of water, would you? You wouldn't say, you would be thinking, yeah, not sure, but, you know,
Yeah.
and you wouldn't do that with, and I believe that's an object, and our emotions are objects as well. We just need to observe them, and yeah, I think that's a really interesting point actually, because I think all this, that feeling, and yeah, it's almost like struggling to let go of it. It's like, oh, but you want to kind of
Yeah.
hold on to that pleasure point.
I think as people that have like other businesses or like fitness goals, blah blah, there'll always be the next big thing. There'll always be more, which I think is still good, but the balance I think between those two things is one being like, okay, I've achieved this. Yeah, there's still more things I need to achieve there, but like sitting back and being like, wow, that was good. I worked all this time for that. Trying to, it's a very fine line between being like, okay, cool, done. I'm moving on, going to the next, and then the next, and then there's a fine line between like doing that. Okay, cool, nice, that was amazing. How can I improve on that? That was amazing. Let's enjoy this moment. We're gonna move on, but we're moving on tomorrow. That fine line is hard to move. I think.
Oh yeah, mate, and I'm always
So hard
thinking.
to do.
Well, I think I don't even think now. I think when you reduce the amount of pleasure you feel, you start becoming more sensitive to it. And I don't think I want to experience pleasure, because pleasure in my mind is this up and downs, you know, the party lifestyle of ups, downs. And that's where I think you have the most stress. What I love now is just the simple things. I love that feeling of joy that
I
I'm
was about to
feeling
ask
now.
you like what you think the difference is between pleasure and joy.
Oh, it's a massive difference, and I think people get it misconstrued. Pleasure is a dopamine hit you get from watching porn, you get from drinking, you get from smoking, you get from all these different things, and it's a temporary thing. Drugs as well is a big one.
Yeah.
That is pleasure, and that feeling, I think it's finite. That's the way that's a great point. It's like, even if you've done something, I felt it yesterday after that workshop. It's finite because you're trying to hold on to it and you're chasing more, and you want to hold on to that feeling. And I could feel it in my body. It was like this anxious feeling of, oh no, try and hold on to it. It's going, and that's what I think pleasure is. And I think a lot of people mistake that, like I did, because this is what I was talking about. My older ego, right? I was chasing and I was getting pleasure. And I thought I was happy, but I wasn't, because my mood was like that,
And down, yeah.
up and down. And I think joy is a real sense, and I've experienced this in the last week or so especially. It's a real profound love for life, and you feel whole. I think you feel like really, and
And how do you get to that moment?
I think you go through different awakenings and ego deaths. I genuinely think that. I think we live life very comfortably. And in my instance, I think there's always, if there's a feeling in your body, you've got to listen to it. And a lot of people don't want to go there. They want to.
Just scared.
And they look for these temporary fixes, right? But in the discomfort is where all the answers come from. And my toughest moments now, I fucking love them, as we were discussing, because now I'm like, okay, I'm finding out more and more about myself. And if you continue down that self-discovery, I think that will lead you to joy. And I actually, in my men's circle over the weekend, I literally burst into tears. I was like, I've got so much joy for life, and I got really emotional.
That's amazing. Yeah.
It was incredible. I'm even like getting emotional thinking about it now, because life is so beautiful. And yeah, I do think anyone can create that if they're willing to do the work. And yeah, I've really enjoyed this conversation. We've coming up to an hour now. It's absolutely flown by, mate.
Yeah, it's gone like that. Yeah, crazy.
It really has. I think you're a huge inspiration for a lot of men, actually. So I'm really excited to get this
What
out.
you were saying, that the last point, I mean, we're going on and on, but the whole joy thing about living life and moving forward, that's an amazing topic, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, it's an area I think I'll sort of focus on as well, because I think everyone can truly create that. Yeah, we'll jump into the closing traditions then. We've got 3 questions in season 2. Number 1 is a song suggestion for the audience.
A song suggestion. Okay, can I look real quick on my phone to see? 'Cause I know what it's called, but the artist, I always get the name wrong. So, but it is Cole by my country music's my favorite music. I love country music. Like really, just like it resonates with me and like calms you down and makes you feel super super good. Country music. So it's Cole by Dylan Gossett. Yeah.
I think that name's come up a couple of times.
You probably heard the song, to be honest. Yeah.
Possibly, and I've noticed a lot of the guests now are saying country, and they're going for
good,
country,
bro.
and
super nice music.
Yeah, what a change from the Barcelona days. I thought you were going to go for like a Barcelona, because it's a big techno city
type music. Yeah.
Yeah, what a change. There you go. That's evidence of change right there. That's brilliant.
Yeah.
I love that. Awesome. Number 2 is a book recommendation.
It would be the one that I was speaking about, but the name I can't remember. Really, I can't remember. But let me think of another one. Okay, so this is it's not to do with like mindset and growth, but it's like it's Into the Wild, like the film. Probably people know it a lot. Into the Wild is my favorite film. You know about the guy on the bus. He finds like a magic bus and he dies, but he's like hitchhiking around America his whole life. You've not seen this film, Into the Wild? No. Because a lot of people have. But yeah, there's a book on it and there's a film, but the book is amazing. It's a story about a guy, going into the wild, getting lost. He eventually dies, but he writes, at the end he writes on his notepad, it's like, happiness only real when shared, because he was like alone most of his life, and he was like camping, hitchhiking around, and he didn't have any attachment to money. Anyway, yeah, that's a great book, Into the Wild. Yeah.
Wicked. Yeah, I'll certainly check it out, man. And yeah, the final question is, we ask a member of the Growth Voyage community on Instagram for a question for the guest. And the first one who popped up was my grandma.
Yeah.
She asks, what is the one tool in your toolkit? Meaning, when situations get tricky, what's one thing you pull out of your bag, perhaps one tool? When shit hits the fan, for example, what's like one thing you can pull out the bag?
Call a friend. That's that thing. Like you can do things. We're strong alone, but we're stronger together. So I think like when shit goes wrong, when shit hits the fan, I think like the first thing to do is go close to a loved one and ask them and give them advice, because you have all this vision of what you think is right, but then even if it is right or wrong, you speak to someone else, they can give you some advice, and then that can either change you or give you a different perception. So having someone's different perception on something. So call a friend. Yeah, I'd say so.
Wicked. Yeah,
or family or whatever.
That's great advice. Certainly, it's what we're coming back to before.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to sort of
reach
be vulnerable,
out,
reach out for help
from people. Yeah.
That's a great message. Brandon, what a wicked episode. Thank you so much, buddy.
Thank you for having me. It's been amazing.
Appreciate you.
Yeah.